The last thing I want to do before we go is I want to talk a little bit about Jewish Midrash. So I mentioned Midrash at the beginning, and I want to close with it as well. There are two kinds of Midrash in rabbinic writings. You have the halacha, that means walking. So this is the way that you're supposed to live, the way you walk, Midrash. Sometimes we designate it kind of as with a little bit Anglicization of this word. We call it halakhic Midrash. And halakhic Midrash is an attempt to find insight into the Torah through intertextuality. A lot of times this is happening upon kind of a logical or a interpretive tool to help understand the law. One example, this is from Mechilta de Rabbi Ishmael. Mechilta, this is all about the book of Moses. It's the royal Midrash of Rabbi Ishmael. And this comes from a section of Mechilta on Parashat Bo. This is the story of the plagues on Egypt. And it starts off in Exodus 12:1. The Lord said to Moses and Aaron in the land of Egypt. So then the author, traditionally Rabbi Ishmael, he focuses on this one statement. The Lord said to Moses and Aaron. I understand this to mean that the word was to Aaron and Moses, as when he said, and it came to pass in the day that the Lord spoke to Moses, the word was to Moses and not to Aaron. So we have these two instances where God is speaking. Sometimes he just speaks to Moses, and sometimes he speaks to Moses and to Aaron. And so he is comparing these two instances. Afterwards, what do you learn to say from the reference to both Aaron and Moses? Except that it teaches that just as Moses was given these words, so was Aaron given these words. So God here is speaking to both of them. Evidently Aaron, the point he's trying to make, Aaron was deemed as important as Moses. And why was the Lord not speaking with him previously? Because of the honor due Moses. It is found that Aaron diminishes in relationship to Moses in all of the words from the Lord that are spoken to them, except for 3 places where it refers to Moses and to Aaron. So there are 3 places where we find the Lord speaks to both Moses and Aaron, and in those places it brings Aaron up to the status of Moses. Accordingly, it says in Exodus 7:1, the Lord said to Moses, See, I have made you like God to Pharaoh. This says nothing more to me than, Moses is a judge to Pharaoh. And Aaron understood this to mean that the Lord had said this both to Moses and to himself. So later when the Lord is speaking to Moses and to Aaron, Aaron can take this to mean this previous statement that was made only to Moses. Aaron can apply this to himself as well. Later in Exodus 7:1 it does say that Aaron, in the same verse, Aaron will be like Moses, prophet. When Moses said to Aaron, and you will no longer see me, so Aaron said to Pharaoh, and you will no longer see me. Another thing, to Moses and to Aaron, I understand this to mean that everything which comes first in the scriptures is first indeed, as he said, Aaron and Moses. He says that both of them are balanced against one another. So most of the time, Moses comes before Aaron, and that would tell us, oh, Moses is more important than Aaron. And yet we have this one verse where they're switched, where Aaron comes first. And that tells us that he is measuring them as though they are both equal. As comes out in the place where he says, I am God, the God of your fathers, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. I understand this to mean that everything that is first in the word is more important than its companions. So he mentions Abraham first. Abraham is most important. And yet, as he says in Leviticus 26:42, Then will I remember my covenant with Jacob. I will remember also my covenant with Isaac and also my covenant with Abraham. So here we have the least of the patriarchs, the last in line. He's listed first. And so here he is saying that all of them are weighed together as one. As it comes out in the word when it says, Exodus 20:12, honor your father and your mother, when he says, a man shall fear both his mother and his father. It's not that the father is more important than the mother. This is his point. He is saying both of them are balanced against one another. So that's an example of halachic midrash. But there's another kind of midrash, and this kind of midrash is much, much more fun. And this is called Agadic midrash. Agadah in Hebrew means a folk tale. And there are lots and lots and lots of folk tales about the Bible. This is that fan fiction I was telling you about. And here are just some of these Agadic midrash from Genesis Rabbah. Genesis Rabbah, it means big Genesis. It is a big collection of midrash from Genesis. And I'm just going to read a few of these. These will also be on the screen. These are fun. It is forbidden to inquire what existed before creation, as Moses distinctly tells us in Deuteronomy 4:32. Ask now of the days that are past, which were before thee, since the day God created man upon earth. So since the day God created man upon earth. So we're not supposed to pry into matters before creation. Thus the scope of inquiry is limited to the time since the creation. Also, the unity of God is at once set before us in the history of creation, where we are told that He, not they, created. This is a big deal because the name of God in Hebrew is plural, but it uses the singular verb, He created, not they created. So this tells us that we cannot understand God's name, His plural name, to refer to more than one God. The next one is very interesting. The Torah was to God, when He created the world, what the plan is to an architect when he erects a building. So this is saying that the Torah was God's blueprint for creating the world. Expanding on this, the Aleph, which is the first letter of the Hebrew alphabet, demurred at her place being usurped by the letter Beit. The opening letter of the whole Torah is Beit. In Bereshit bara Elohim et hashamayim ve'ha'aretz. So in the beginning, Be, it means in. So this letter Beit is the first letter in the Bible, and the first letter of the alphabet was upset that she didn't get to be the first letter in the Bible. So Beit, which is second to her at the creation, was used first. The history of which commences with the latter instead of with the former. She was, however, quite satisfied when told that in the history of giving the Decalogue, so when the 10 Commandments are given, she would be placed at the beginning. This is how God got Aleph to shut up. For the world has only been created on account of the Torah, which indeed existed anterior to creation. Torah predates the creation. This is what's saying, is the Torah was actually written before anything was created. And had the Creator not foreseen that Israel would consent to receive and diffuse the Torah, creation would not have taken place. So if God had not known that Israel was going to live according to Torah, He wouldn't have even made the world, because He made the world for the sake of Israel to live out Torah in her. And Aleph there, Aleph starts off the 10 Commandments, where God says, I am the Lord your God, and that word I is Anochi. It starts with an Aleph. The next one, interesting. A lot of this is speculation, you'll see. There is a difference of opinion as to the day on which angels were created. One authority decides for the second day on the ground that they are mentioned in connection with water, in Psalm 104, 3 and 4, which was created on that day. While another authority, another rabbi, argues from the fact that they are said to fly in Isaiah 6. and he assigns their creation to the 5th day on which all other flying things were created. But all authorities are agreed that they did not exist on the first day of creation. There were not angels on the first day of creation. And why do they say this? So that skeptics cannot say that they were helpers in the work of creation. So there were some ideas that angels helped create the world, and to nip that in the bud, we say no, they were created either on the 2nd or the 5th day, 2nd or 5th day. Finally, we have this statement in the prophet Isaiah in 65:17. It says that even the new heavens and the earth that were spoken of by the prophet Isaiah, the new heavens and the new earth, they were created during those 6 days of creation. So the new heavens and the new earth, they're already created, they're already waiting for us, but first we have to get through this one. There's a new one waiting for us, have to get through this one first. Anyway, that is Midrash, and it's a lot of fun. Sometimes it's hard for us to understand, especially if you don't know Hebrew. It can be a challenge, but it's well worth the effort. And you can find a lot of that, not so much halachic Midrash, but you can find a Gothic Midrash online pretty accessibly. God bless you, and I'll see you next time.